All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a really fascinating journey under the hood of some highly sophisticated financial tech. We are going to completely dissect the raw code of the Quantum Cobra Expert Advisor, specifically the Cobra Pro Max version 2. We'll reveal exactly how algorithmic code literally engineers out the fatal emotional flaws of human trading, replacing them with cold, calculated precision. If you've ever felt the sting of a trade gone wrong, and let's be honest, we all have, you're definitely going to want to pay close attention to the mechanics we're about to uncover.
But before we actually look at the algorithm itself, we have to start with a pretty provocative question about risk. Take a second and really think about this. What is the single greatest risk to your trading capital? Is it a sudden market crash, an unexpected news event, runaway inflation? Look, while those are definitely valid concerns, the source code we're analyzing today suggests something entirely different. The true danger? It isn't the market at all. It's human emotion.
Here's our blueprint for today's system diagnostic. We'll be looking at 1. The human problem, 2. The rise of algorithmic trading, 3. The Quantum Cobra engine, 4. Advanced capital preservation, 5. Dynamic market filters, and finally 6. The future of execution.
Let's start with Section 1, the human element problem.
You see, there's a core conflict in trading. On one side, you have the completely chaotic emotional cycle of the human trader. You know the feeling, right? Constantly battling fear during drawdowns, greed during winning streaks, and just the absolute fatigue of staring at charts with bloodshot eyes at 3 a.m. But on the other side, an expert advisor brings pure mechanical discipline. It's entirely emotion-free and relentlessly monitors the market 24/7. It never sleeps, it never hesitates, and it certainly never revenge trades. It just flawlessly executes logic.
Moving on to Section 2, Rise of Algorithmic Trading.
Pulling directly from the EA's internal logs right out of the source code, we can actually see this cold, calculated discipline in action. Think about it. When a human trader sees a setup, they might force a trade even if market conditions are terrible, just because they feel that itch to be active. But the Quantum Cobra? It simply prints entry blocked, drawdown governor, or entry blocked, news blackout window. It has the built-in discipline to just sit on its hands when conditions are suboptimal. And honestly, that ability to mechanically say no is a massive advantage.
Section 3, the Quantum Cobra engine.
So how does it actually spot opportunities? The EA uses what's built into the code as a highly sophisticated signal engine triad. It doesn't rely on gut feelings whatsoever. It catches trends purely based on math. It uses a relative strength index with a length of 25 to measure momentum, an exponential moving average set to a 50 period to gauge the broader trend direction, and an average true range over a 5 period to measure recent volatility. All 3 of these components absolutely must align mechanically before a trade is even considered.
But getting into a trade is really only half the battle, right? Once profitable, the EA utilizes something called a chandelier trail. This is a dynamic trailing stop-loss mechanism that utilizes the ATR multiplier. Instead of just setting a rigid stop, it actually adapts to market volatility, protecting your profits while still giving the trend enough room to breathe. The crucial takeaway here is that tools like the chandelier trail allow the algorithm to ride massive trends significantly longer than a fearful human ever could. A human panics and takes a tiny profit. The algorithm, it just rides the math.
Which brings us to Section 4, Advanced Capital Preservation.
3%. This specific number represents the drawdown governor's strict daily loss limit programmed right into the EA. If the account balance drops by 3% from the day's anchor point, boom, the system simply shuts off new entries for the rest of the day, period. It provides an automatic, totally emotionless capital lock on bad market days. Absolutely no revenge trading allowed.
Furthermore, the code establishes an absolute weekly cap of 6%, and it goes even deeper into consecutive loss protection. The source file reveals a module that meticulously tracks consecutive losses. If the EA hits 8 consecutive losses, it forcefully pauses the system for exactly 10 bars. Why? To prevent a complete account blowout during a totally toxic, mean-reverting market phase. It literally forces a timeout. Now this brings us to the profit lock engine. You see, the system doesn't just protect against losses, it fiercely defends your wins. It mechanically scales up its protected profits in tiers as a trade moves heavily in your favor. For example, looking at Tier 1, if the price moves 1.5 ATR in your favor, it instantly locks in 0.5 ATR of profit. If it surges up to 5.0 ATR in your favor, it locks in 3.0 ATR. It mathematically guarantees that a massive winning trade can never, ever turn back into a loser.
Now for Section 5, Dynamic Market Filters.
This right here is the combined entry gate. It's a literal gauntlet of code fail-safes that every single signal absolutely must survive before a trade is executed. First, it runs a drawdown check. Second, it checks for a consecutive loss pause. Third, it hits the volatility circuit breaker. And fourth, it checks the news filter. If any of these throw a red flag, the trade is instantly killed on the spot.
Let's look a little closer at that third step. By translating the raw code, we can see the volatility circuit breaker acts as an incredible shield. It constantly scans a 50-bar look-back period, calculating the median spread and true range. If the